Right. How about if we get this meeting started? Would that be okay with everyone? Yes. Okay. I'm sure I heard you say yes. Good evening. I'm Nancy Jackson. I'm your president of the Lake Kiowa POA. And the first order of business for us is to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. And so I'm going to get Sean to lead it for us. Right there. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Sean. So, over the past year, unfortunately, we've lost a lot of our members. And so, will you take a moment of silence with me in recognition of all the members that we've lost and remember them and hold them up. So take a moment with me. Thank you for doing that. There's never a long enough time to remember those that we've lost. And in fact, we always do remember them. And so thank you for that. The next order of business on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from March 8th, 2025. And do I have a motion? I got George and Gerald. You want to second it? Okay, thank you very much. All right. George has moved that we would approve the March, is it 8th, 2025? You're going to have to do this. I guess it's going up there. So you have a copy of the minutes. If you came in, they were back here in the back along with an agenda. And are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from last year, March 8, 2025? Are there any? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the March 8th, 2025 meeting minutes, please say aye. Aye. All right. And those opposed? The ayes have it, and you've just approved the March 8, 2025 minutes. It's really hard after you really challenge yourself in January and February to say 2026 to say 2025. So I guess this is the time I get to talk a little bit and extend what's going on. So there's the meeting minutes. We went to get a battery for I believe, for the clicker there. As president, it is a very easy job because it is all, I heard somebody laugh, right? It's really about serving. And so it's been a privilege for me to serve this past year as your president and to be on the board. It is not often you get that opportunity to do that. And it doesn't matter what the phone call is, it's still a privilege to serve. And I'm always humbled by our members, what they do, what they accomplish, what they're willing to give, and how they serve our community. And I am very honest. I've lived in lots of different places. I've never been in a community that had such a sense of community. And so for that, I'm very grateful for all that you do for us. And so I say that as your president, I say that as a member of this community. There's one piece, Scott, can you move them forward? There you go. All right, let's start right here. And so the next order of business for us is to show the results from the election that we just had for new board of directors. As you're very well aware, we nominate and vote on our candidates, and we choose the three that have the highest votes. And so we're going to give them in random order, so you don't know any votes that are up there. And so the first one is, yes, Lisa, Lisa McRae. And the second, John Makuta. Congratulations. And the third, Rick Jameson. And so we really want to thank them, but also the ones that were not elected for directors this year. And that would be Mark and Josh and Dusty. That's right. And so I'm hopeful that they will choose to serve next year so that they can again run for the board of directors if they choose to. It is, again, a privilege to serve. I keep saying that. I'm trying to convince you of that, right? Even though several laughed at me here. All right. Our next order of business is talk about the other items that were on the agenda. The first one that was on there was the revenue ruling 7604 in allowing us to be able to use the excess funds to apply for the member assessments for the next year. And it was a whopping 736 for and 70 against. And so that did pass, and we shall use those funds in the next year's against the member assessment. So it did pass with a 91% vote in for. Our next one is the Road Reserve Fund. And the Road Reserve Fund, I'm not going to read through all of it, but what it does come down to ask for from you is that are you willing to provide $20 a month to build a road reserve fund? So those funds go toward the roads in our community, and it's a separate fund so you can see that and what's happening there. It is designated as a restricted fund. It is for the maintenance and refurbishment of all the needs in Lake Kiowa. And so, Scott, the next one, or who's doing that? You. Okay, you got it this time. Okay. And so the vote for was 412. Those against 376. And it is a majority vote for approval, and it did pass. And so that will go forward when will it hit Thursday? April 1st. And so April the 1st is when you will see that on your member assessment. And so those of you that did pass that, we appreciate that. That was something that as a board, we feel, as well as many of our members, to feel that our roads are very, very important, and how do we continue to maintain them for the future. All right, the next item on our agenda is the introduction of our returning directors. And so it's always interesting when you come to this meeting because the returning directors are on this side of the room. And so you see all their happy faces there. Yes, happy faces because you're returning. And so you have Dylan Ott, you have Ronnie Phillips, you have Dan Bessie, you have Cecil Heath, and Chris Hale. And so they'll return. And the first two or three of us there, Nancy, Dylan, and Ronnie, have one more year on the board. And then Cecil and Chris and Dan, how did I miss Dan? Have 2 more years on the board. So, it is, we would never accomplish anything if we didn't have a little bit of humor along the way. And we didn't have some good camaraderie. And so that's what I appreciate about serving with the different people that I've served over the years on the board. There is definitely a camaraderie that's there, and every board has a different flavor, if you will. But each of these men right here are awesome. They have done a lot for you in the community. There's a ring right there for sure. Is it for me? That's all right. I thought maybe it was my time to leave it really quick. So, but But they do a lot for the community, and not only in their role as a board, but they're committee members. They are in countless committee meetings and spend a lot of time in pulling together facts and figures so that we can make better decisions for you along the way. And my next opportunity here is to recognize our outgoing directors. And they happen to be on this side of the room. You'll notice Rich is sitting with them. That's because Larry has already left the country. And so truly he has, he really has. But you have here Bria Ballard and Sean Taylor, and it's been a privilege again to serve with them. You know, each brings their own taste, if you will, to what we do on the board. And as I said at the board meeting the other night, they may not always speak, but when they do, you better listen because they're very thoughtful and very wise in what they have to bring forward. And so, you know, we always want to recognize them. What did you say, Bria, with your $5 gift certificate for serving on the board? Is there? Yeah, Rolex, right? You know, I looked for a Rolex for her. I really did, but I couldn't afford one. And so, all right, good deal. But I did buy what I think you prefer. So hold on.
You went to team. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You'll enjoy that more than the Rolex, right? Yeah. And so, and I know you go to Landon because I've seen you there, right? Right. So, all right. Cool. Well, thank you all again. It is a privilege to serve with you guys, and sorry to see you go. So, cool. Would you like to say anything? Adios.
No, just want to quickly say congratulations to the upcoming board members. Thank you for your willingness to serve the community. It's been a real pleasure, and I mean, there's definitely some ups and downs along the way, but at every time I've been at every meeting, it's always been with a heart of service, and I hope that just that sentiment continues. So thank you for your willingness to carry that torch.
Cool. Thank you. Bria enjoys the microphone not in front of her. I know that. So what I'd like to do is let you know that after this meeting, we will take a break and we will do an organizational meeting of the new board of directors. It is part of our bylaws that says that within 10 days that our new directors have to come together to form the organization. And so that's what they shall do. I would like to recognize a lot of our committee chairs, and you'll see the list here. There is a sheet of paper in the back of this room that talks about the accomplishments that they have as a committee this past year, and it only lists just 3 or 4. And there's so many more that they've done, but it's amazing what our committees do. Oh, is this community managers? You did put that in there. Oh man, you did. Sorry, my fault. That's where that wasn't in there first. And I said the most important people are our staff, and that's where you should be there first. And so he surprised me. He said he would do that to me. So I would like to recognize our PO management team. They do, just like our committees do, so much for us. It is incredible what they do, how they respond to you, all that they hear in so many different ways. And I'd like to say thank you very much to Rich, who's sitting over here. Most of you don't see Crystal. She is in administration or public works, but sometimes you do. Scott's sitting back there running the computer for us. Sometimes you see Brian Brown out there on the golf course, and in security, Melanie Cade, and then of course Jeremy here at the lodge, and many of you see him. So, and then you also have our golf marshals, and then our communique, and so they will come up and report. They report to Lauren and then to Jeremy, and so, and then do you have the next one? No. And so you may or and our attorney, who we always seem to refer to in our executive sessions in one way or another, James Tidwell, out of Wolf, Tidwell, and McCoy and Sherman. Can you go back one? You don't always think about how many people it takes to run this organization, this community, but we have 54 full-time people, 28 part-time, and then one seasonal worker. And they serve you in so many capacities. And so whenever you see them, please thank them for all they do, because they make a huge difference for us. Okay? Yes, you will? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Is it the vision mission link? Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask Dan Bessie, who worked on the vision and mission, to share with you about that. And we've got 3 slides. I'll turn this one off, Dan.
Thank you, Nancy. So this process took a lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of people involved. It started in a presentation to the board last May. We got official permission from the board last July to kind of make this a true project. So why was this important? Why was it important to the board and the community? Is that we started to talk about direction of where we want to go, simple things like what do we want to measure? How do we know we're making progress? And the conversation came up of, well, you can measure a lot of things, but how do you know you are truly going in the right direction? You truly are getting better. So that came back to, do we have a long-term plan around, or a strategic framework around how we think about Kiowa? How does that help us set priorities? How does that help us decide what we should do? And that also then lends to, how do we measure our progress and our improvement against those things? So we started with a community survey that went out last September. We had 340 people reply to that survey. There was 2,900 verbatims that we went through. It was really, really good to see in all the input and get all the information. From there, we kind of then moved into smaller groups. We did focus groups with a number of different folks. We did an input session with the board. And then we took that information and then synthesized it down to some ideas. And we had multiple working sessions with members to take those ideas and kind of synthesize them into true suggestions for our mission, vision, and value. So there was an ad hoc committee that was developed or appointed to do this work. A number of folks did amazing work on that. Mike Demarest, who's here, Bob Hyde, Sandy Hare, Amy Harrell, all did really good work to help us through that process. So we wouldn't have got this done without them. So this is where we ended up. This has been communicated out a couple times now. It was reviewed at the last board meeting. It was sent out through a couple times in the last couple of weeks through Constant Contact. So you can see the vision statement. Lake Kiowa thrives as a welcoming and enduring community, protecting the lake, preserving natural beauty, and sustaining a culture where people feel secure, connected, and proud to live here. We will preserve the lifestyle and honor the traditions that brought people here. And those things came out really strongly across all the different pieces of work that we did, from the survey to the small group sessions around the culture, the natural beauty of Kiowa, and really trying to make sure that we don't go do anything that spoils that culture. So that was a very predominant theme. So that vision statement is out there. It was approved by the board pending member feedback. So there has been some communications out there. If you have feedback, send it to the Ad Hoc Vision Mission Committee. We're going to bring it back to the board this next time to get it officially adopted. So then we have the mission statement. So Lake Kiowa's Property Owners Association will responsibly manage Lake Kiowa's common property and community services for the benefit of all members. Through strong stewardship and disciplined, thoughtful governance, will maintain all assets and overall appearance, plan for long-term needs, safeguard the community's security and well-being, and lead with transparency and mutual respect. So the concept on the end of the first sentence, for the benefit of all members, that was the biggest theme that came out when we talked about a mission statement. So making sure that we're not thinking about any one group, that we're thinking about all 1,470-ish members here at Lake Kiowa. And the core values that we came up with: safety and security, stewardship of our assets and natural resources, respect and neighborliness, integrity, transparency and fairness, fiscal responsibility, sustainability, community spirit and quality of life, and social response, shared responsibility and engagement. So you can read the more detailed descriptions underneath. So at the, you have an opportunity, these aren't 100% official, to provide feedback. And this will be, again, brought up at the next board meeting to be officially adopted unless we get some additional feedback one way or the other. So I'm very happy that all that hours and hours of work came together and that we came to the conclusion. And this, to me, having this kind of North Star to follow, or having this strategic framework for Kiowa, I think really will benefit us as we're trying to figure out what truly are our priorities, what direction we want to go, and how do we help make some of those decisions. All right. Thank you.
As I said earlier, we don't often think about how many people it takes to run this organization, and not only our staff, but also our community. Golly, you guys are scaring me because some way my mouth is just not working here. And so 19 I still do the same, committees. I can't even read it right. So it's 138 members that are active on all of those committees that are out there. And each committee has his staff support. And what's interesting is that how many times people say, "Oh, I didn't know there was a page in the communique about all of our committees that are out there," or, how you can join them. But it's that page you flip over when you go back through the back to the ads and stuff like that. It's right about there. That's where it also includes your board members and stuff like that. But that page will tell you all the people that are dedicated to this community and how they serve. And so here's a list of all of them. Their accomplishments for the year on a piece of paper at the back. It's actually a 4-pager, I believe, with all the points that they have about the different things that they've done. And you can see just a little bit, if you read that, of the things that they've done this year and how they've moved the mark in one way or another. And so if you have the opportunity, please say thank you to those chairs of those committees, because it is a challenge sometimes finding not only a room in the lodge to meet, but also getting everybody there, or a date and a time to meet sometimes. But they do a very, very good job. And so I appreciate everything that they do. The next thing we have out here, you may know, because many of you are members in most of these clubs and organizations, are all the different official clubs that are out here. You may not have realized that there are 15 of them, 2,380 members in those clubs and organizations. And so we often talk about the MGA and the WGA having big memberships, but really and truly, who's the one that has the power out here? The KWC, the Women's Club. That's right. That's right. Yeah, you can tell them I said that. So anyway, but they all do a great job. And again, they keep this lodge, this building full with all of the things that they do, and how people come together. And I think that speaks a lot to what Dan just talked about when we talk about a mission and a vision and our core values that are here and what goes on. And there's some pictures down at the bottom. I didn't want you to forget about all the different things that we have going on out here. And And so you may not realize that we have an Easter egg hunt coming up. If you have grandkids, you already know that. But that is on April the 4th. And there are 5, 6 different events that the POA puts on. Thanks to all of our different organizations, we're able to put those things on and deliver 5,000 Easter eggs for the Easter egg hunt and have a 4th of July parade. How many people have driven in the 4th of July parade? You've driven a float or, kind of a golf cart, right? How many people were in the Christmas parade? There you go. All right. Santa's sleigh was, yeah. All right. And so we have our 3rd annual Christmas parade again on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's when we do our tree lighting. We'll do the tree lighting inside and we will again. So you can see some people up there that danced up and the gingerbread people that walked around. We do a shortened route, but I highly encourage you to come to all of those different things. And our July 4th parade will be on July 4th this year. I just wanted you to know that. So. You're supposed to laugh at that one. And you would be surprised how many people ask me that. So anyway, so here's just some of the different positive things that we've done this year. We've started our KPIs, trying to put together some numbers so that we can see how we're moving the mark along the way as an organization. We have our new mission and vision. Some of you I recognize as faces that have attended our chat meetings. We hold those monthly. And actually we expanded them from an early morning coffee to an afternoon wine one. That one seems to get more people to it lately. We've held several town hall meetings, all of those designed to get member feedback and be able to give you additional information that's going on, as well as there's lots of stuff that goes out in our constant contact, our communique, in so many different ways. There's lots of communication vehicles that we use, and hopefully you're tapping into some of those. I am going to have Rich come up and have him go through a lot of our financials and a couple other areas, so he can give you some feedback on that. Wherever you want to start.
That won't work for me. There we go. Every meeting, every board meeting, we go over the financials. And right now we're over $6.5 million budget, and that's just for operations and maintenance. This past year in 2025, we did go over budget about 0.5%, which is about $30,000. We ended the year with $5,827,000. The reserve fund balances, as you can see, ARF was over $500,000. It is over $600,000 less than last year. Some of that was due to expenses, but the majority of that deficit actually is because we created a new golf course reserve fund. So you can see there the numbers match basically because the previous year that didn't exist, so it was zero. So we ended the year at $610,000 for the new reserve fund that we started in July. And it'll be almost similar to next year when we do the road reserve fund. Obviously, we're at zero this year. We'll see where we sit at the end of next year. CARF, the capital asset, that's a discretionary fund from the board. We are about $120,000 less this year than last year. We were a little over $1 million. 2025, we finished about $880,000 left in CARF. Lake management is $926,000, which is a positive 122. They do bring in about $250,000 a year, but we do have expenses, even though we're not dredging. We did silt removal of the retention ponds. We actually built some lake walls too. They also worry about erosion and drainage, so some of the funds go that way. Capital Development Fund, CDRF, that is a fund that comes from basically the sale of lots or POA property. We finished the year $96,000 more than the previous year for a total of $267,000. That had to do actually not with the sale of lots per se. It does go back, but it was because of after an audit, we got credited back over $80,000 from our tax audit. And then plus these all gain interest too from Ways and Means. All these funds, I think we had $300,000 in interest that we gained over the year on the reserve fund. So that was all added to whichever reserve fund was applicable. And 2024 audit came back and it was a clean audit, no major discrepancies. Scott, there we go. Another thing, everybody sees the contractors, all the activity out at Lake Kiowa. We typically do 400 to 500 permits a year, a little bit up from last year. We had 477 permits, which totaled over $113,000, which was a lot more than the previous year. We budget usually around $84,000 a year. We try to budget and gauge how much we're going to do. The previous year we did under 75,000. The major indicator of that is actually the new homes. As you can see, we had 12 new homes this past year as compared to 4 last year, which was a low. You can see from the chart kind of how it went up. We had a high of like 2017 where we had almost 30 homes built. So that's a good gauge of activity. We really don't have that many vacant lots per se. Most of that came from the sale of all the lots we did in 2015, 2016. There's still about 90 vacant lots in Kiowa. Most of those are privately owned, so you don't know what the activity is going to be. And we actually had, I think, 4 deconstitutions this year. So we do grow as when people have constituted lots, they split, and then those lots are sold off, and that's where 4 of the new homes came from. Overall sales, we had 98 resale certificates, which is just the overall activity of real estate in the community, which is again in the about same area we normally are. Last couple of years we were 112 and 92. Of those 98 resales, we had 70 initiation fees, which was the first full year of the initiation fee. So we had almost $270,000 from that, which was a huge influx of revenue, which all went to roads. Lake management, as I mentioned before, even though you don't see a lot of dredging, which is always the hot topic, there is a lot that we do, just the dam itself and lake management. The dam, it's over 50 years old. It has to go through maintenance. We've been working on that basically yearly, doing small projects as we go. We've already basically did maintenance on the upstream part, with divers fixing the cracks. We added piezometers, which we had them back in the day, but they kind of needed to be redone. So we added piezometers, which gives kind of the information of the drainage through the earthen dam. You have to gauge how much water is in there, and that gives basically the health of the dam. So we monitored that. All that data has been fairly good over this last year that we've had. Now we have to kind of concentrate on the downstream part. The consultants we work with, BBA, are working on that feasibility. So hopefully sometime this year we will get the engineering for that, get bids, see how much it's going to cost, and figure out when we can do it. Some of that has to do with the timing because we will have to lower the lake when we do the work on the downstream side. Can't have any waves going over, et cetera, obviously, because they have to work on that concrete side. So we'll probably have to lower the water about 2 feet. I'll let everybody know when this is going to be happening. We'll try to do it when there's low activity, but that may be coming in 2026, but it may be 2027. Other projects Lake Management did is, again, like I said, they work on drainage, erosion. We built a couple lake walls near number 8 and number 9 on there. We'll actually do more towards 8 Green this year, try to spend about $50,000 a year out of that fund for erosion control. And every 3 years, we do a silt removal project of a type. We have the 3 retention ponds that they need remediation every few years to get all the silt accumulation out of those retention ponds. They're doing their job trying to catch most of the silt, but you do have to remove that sediment about every 3 years. So that's going to be an ongoing project, and that usually costs between $100,000 and $120,000. Next large, roads. We just got the road fund done. We have 23 miles of road. It takes a lot of maintenance. If you did 23 miles and extrapolated, it's like how many square feet of that is astronomical. We did almost 100,000 square feet of 2-inch overlay, the complete overlay of asphalt over the road. Basically 600 block all the way kind of to the lodge as you meander around Kiowa Drive, Mohican, Navajo, and up to the lodge. We also did Huron. We also do basically crack seal and seal coat, which is kind of trying just to make the road last longer. And then obviously some patching in certain areas we had to do. So we did over $500,000 this year, which is more than typical. We were typically in the $300,000 range, but the initiation fund really helped elevate that to a different level. And this year, with the increased amount of the initiation fee, we're going to have about $620,000 to spend on roads. And we need to probably stay around $600,000 a year to actually make any kind of dent on the maintenance of the roads. If you did all the roads at one time, it would cost about $10 million. So it's a large liability of things that need to get maintained in Kiowa. Next. There you go. And here's just a few pictures. Again, you can see at low order 2 where we picked up. We actually also did the walking trail. It was DG. We asphalted over that. And then the other picture is the gravel that was at the Little Wolf Park Road. We asphalted all that and did all this year. Next, this is back to Nancy, if she would.
Have you driven up there? Do you like it? Are you surprised at how high you are in Lake Kiowa? What's the T-box? You're at the highest point, number six up there. That's pretty amazing to think that you're at the highest point in Lake Kiowa right there. But that's one of those things that when I came on actually before I ever joined the board, I was on long range planning with Jim Adams and Walt and some other people. And as we continued down the long range planning, that was always on our long range plan as maybe an opportunity for us to be able to do something with that 52 plus acres. And it's like they always say, I think Leslie said it at the opening, it's just a small group of people that make something happen. And so we're very thankful for that group of people and what they did because that added a huge amenity and opened up so much more that we can do as a community for our community, like the walking trail and things like that will come, parks and things. You can see all the different pieces that were there from that. Here's a picture of it. How many people have walked it? Yeah, there you go. Hardy souls out there. There you go. Carry all your clubs or just take your putter, because you're so good on the. So I thought just the putter and the putting course would be just fine with me. So, all right. And the next thing that we added up there, obviously, was the new driving range, and we completed that in October. It's 11 acres now versus the 6.8 that was there before. It doesn't seem like it's that big, but if you're up there, how much wider it is than what the old one was. When you're in the old one, it did feel a little tight there when you were out there trying to hit. But 30 stations versus the 15 that we used to have, more targets for you to shoot at. And those of you that just hit straight down the middle, it's probably no big deal. But for those of us that don't hit straight down the middle, there's more to go right or left on. So I think that's also an awesome thing to add up there and then be able to give us more room to do something else in the future toward the street. Yep. And that's what it looks like. It is amazing to me how much bigger it is and how much wider and what it is and how it all fits up there. And so great planning and great engineering and construction there. We're going to move on to some of the different things that we did. It's always really easy to see in the communique the big projects and the big things that we do. Sometimes we miss some of the smaller things that we do that make a bigger impact sometimes for the community. How many people like to sit on the patio at the lodge? Okay, well, we have a cover and fans out there and heaters are coming. And so, it makes it an all-round venue, which is a pretty awesome thing. Have you been to some of the concerts that are out there? Those are pretty cool too. Obviously, we've added some AV and we'll continue to upgrade and do some of those things. The wine storage cabinets. How many people have a storage cabinet, a wine cabinet? A few people do. There are still 9 or 10 that are still available. And if you do buy one this week, I will supply a bottle of wine for you. Okay. Because I know right where some are. And so I'll be more than happy to supply a bottle of wine. But yes, if you buy one this week, so you'll have to remind Jeremy that I said that, right? I will supply a bottle of wine. Now, I didn't say if it was going to be Barnes or what is it? Boone's Farm. Oh, see, some of you, yes. Yes. Is it Chuck? Something Chuck? 2 buck chuck. There you go. Okay. All right. I'll do my best to get you whatever I can afford, right? We also did a bunch of drainage pipe stuff that, you don't necessarily see, but you know that it's there, especially on Colt Drive right there where that water goes through. It's a big place. And then as much as we love the East Gate, we worked on it and we spent a lot of money in it. We still have opportunities there. There's no doubt that we do, but we put some new toll tags and things like that in there. So, some of those things are an ongoing project with technology, as we all know. And then we did put some more radios out there for security. And then the dam low flow project that Rich talked about was something that, having been on the board for a couple of years, we were always dreading that it would happen because we didn't know if we opened the thing, if it would be like, your bathtub, you open up the drain and all the water goes. So, but we knew then we could dredge the lake if that happened. So, but anyway, so luckily it didn't, and we're all to the good there. Okay. The next project that's out there for if you can tell that some of the big things we have coming this year that will, that'll happen will be the pickleball courts. And we did break ground in February. We do have an investment in it, and so does the Pickleball Association through a donation to us. And a lot of people have questions about pickleball. And so what we've decided to do is that on Wednesday evening, when we would normally have our chat at 4:30, part of that chat will be to answer questions about the pickleball because we've received some additional information. We want to share that with the community and let you know that June is the target date to open it for a construction perspective. And so that's what we have right now. So we will do that this Wednesday at 4:30. So just to let you know, and excuse me, as Rich said, we will have our dam project some point in time on the spillway. We'll have to figure that. You have to be careful when you say that dam project. But so the next thing is the front entrance gate. We do have some bids out there and some final construction things to get a final update on the cost, and we will be moving forward with updating the front entrance. And may not be exactly what we thought, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. But it will be something that'll be much more efficient and much better for our members to go through and security to use. And so that's coming for us this year. There's also a Veterans Memorial that may come to fruition later this year. And then also 1-lane bridge maintenance. How many people go over the 1-lane bridge? Yeah? Okay. Maintenance is coming. How much was it to replace it? 2 million? 3 million?
Well over.
Yeah, well over $1 million because it has to be TxDOT approved and all of those things. So we're just going to do maintenance at this point in time to continue to do those things. Here's some other projects that we may or may not get to this year, depending on what happens with some of the bigger ones or things that, sometimes we plan something and then something else pops up, as you very well know. Playgrounds, we had them down for a little bit. We had to do some repair. And so we're looking at that, how we can upgrade them or replace them in some way to make them better for the kids in our community. Possibly a pergola over at the Golf Pro Shop, the walking trail in Little Wolf Park, expanding the Lodge 19th hole. Would you like that? Or changing maybe how it was constructed in some way. And then possibly a west gate. That was something that was talked about a couple of years ago. So that could be on the horizon too. And so those are just some of the things that come to the board at many, many times. I would like to encourage you, many faces I don't see at the board meeting, and I would encourage you to come to the board meeting. It's on the 4th Monday night of every month. It's at 6:00 right now. And the next one is on March the 23rd, and there's always an opportunity there for you to share your comments with the board. If I can leave you with some final thoughts, is that as a board, we don't make a decision in a vacuum. We have lots of input. Sometimes one group of people you hear more from than you hear from the other. And so that's the reason we do try to do town hall meetings or provide those comment opportunities, the chat meetings and things like that. every decision we make, we do make with a heartfelt thought about what's going to happen, not to us, but to you, the member. And, you have to, don't forget that, we're members too. And so when we have a road reserve fund and we decide, we're going to put this out there and ask you if you want to do that, it hits us just like it hits you. And I think you have to also realize that as a board and a community, we may not get to do everything that we want to do, but I will tell you that every board that I've served on has done the necessary things to make sure our infrastructure stays good for the future. And that's very difficult because we have an aging infrastructure, not only aging member like me, but we have aging infrastructure out there. And so it is hard to make some tough decisions sometimes, but you do that. But your input is always taken. It is always considered. Doesn't mean that we make every decision that way that you wanted, but we do listen to what you have to say. And I can tell you that as long as I'm on the board, I will always do that. And I have great faith that the people that have been on the board and the people that are on the board now and the people that are coming on the board will do the same. And so thank you for the opportunity to serve you as your president. And thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. Anything else? Well, oh, man. Is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, Walt, wait, I don't have a comments of members, Walt. You'll be here Thursday at 9:00.
How is the vote going on the new message board for the mayor?
Had a great response.
Is actually, yeah, we've had great response compared to other stuff that we put out there. Right now. Yeah, 2-1 to get rid of it right now. But we're looking at other options and other ways to do different things. And so 2-1 to get rid of it from the standpoint is that people don't see it has value. Doesn't mean that we wouldn't have it, maybe in another format, but that's what people think. They think I go through too fast. I see the time and that's all I see. Well, actually, that's all that's on there right now. So that's the reason you always do. But, and so, oh, okay. All right. Well, we could put triple gates and that would make it for everybody to do that, right? So we could do that. It's always a good, I think that was one of the reasons we put the survey out there. It's always good. In one of our chat meetings, somebody said, well, you know what? You never read that thing. Why would you spend money on it? And I'm like, well, let's ask people because we don't know. I mean, there's just a few of us and, we know what we think. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's what the majority of our members do. So thanks, Walt. And so this president would entertain a motion to adjourn the annual meeting. Brent Reed, and who was my second? Chris was my second. So Brent Reed motioned and Chris Reed second. All those in favor of adjourning this annual meeting, say aye and raise your hand. Yeah, there we go. All those opposed? You've adjourned the meeting. Thank you very much. And we'll see you a year from now, right? And so